It's a place that you seem to have permanence, but there is no permanence. We see the buildings that we thought were permanent being demolished and are long gone, that people would never think in a million years would ever be gone, but they did go.
60 years ago, the corner of Sunset and Vine was the epicenter of West Coast network radio broadcasting. Gone. The intersection of Sunset and La Brea had a futuristic drive-in shaped like the hood of a giant car. I used to go there when I was a kid. Adios. In the 30s and 40s, the Garden of Allah was a notorious crash pad for famously hard-partying writers like Hemingway, Fitzgerald, and Dorothy Parker. The Garden of Allah apartments used to be here at the corner of Sunset and Crescent Heights, but no more. Joni Mitchell even sang about it. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. This love affair with the bulldozer might scare the preservationists, but the truth is, the constant urge to rip down and start over, to reinvent and reinvigorate, is part of Sunset Boulevard's allure. And it's not just the buildings.
The point, I think, of Sunset is it's a place where this transformation of people happens, and I don't know anywhere else in America where it happens. Here, just an ordinary person with no particular education, just by being aggressive, focused, and really wanting it, can transform himself into anything. The main thing about people who make it here is they don't have to have any special skill.
Sunset is where Julia Roberts went from streetwalker to socialite in Pretty Woman, where a chef named Wolfgang Puck dreamed up the $30 pizza, and where David Bowie was reborn as Ziggy Stardust. And one section of this great street symbolizes the essence of aspiration better than any other, the Sunset Strip. The strip may be only 2 miles long, but its reputation reaches around the world. It's a little like the Devil's Embassy in Los Angeles, an obstacle course that you have to run before you land safely in Beverly Hills. And it's been that way for 70 years.
The Sunset Strip was the place. You go in the Ciro's and you sit down with movie stars and you have a calm in 15 minutes. I remember I was there the night Elizabeth Taylor graduated from high school. She was underage and drinking champagne at the time. You'd see maybe Tyrone Power come in there with Lana Turner. You see Gable in there. And of course, the most famous night there was Academy Award night. And every star in town was there. And Sammy Davis was imitating every star in the room. Jimmy Stewart was there, and he was imitating Jimmy Stewart. He imitated Jerry Lewis, Humphrey Bogart. It made Sammy Davis a star overnight.
But by the 60s, the old Hollywood in crowd was elbowed off the strip by a new generation. They blew away Cafe Society and turned the music up loud, real loud. The cradle of this rebellion is still rocking at the world-famous Whiskey A Go-Go. In 1966, this guy, Ray, and a few of his pals played here.
Music together. We were going to be like beatniks, except we were not going to do poetry and jazz. Yeah. We're going to do poetry and rock and roll. I said, this is all great, man. What do we call the band? I said, we can't call it Jim and Ray, two guys from Venice, like two guys from Italy Pizza or something. He said, I got the name, man, The Doors. And what happens? We get into the Whiskey A Go-Go in the Sunset Strip place. We became the house band here.
What kind of effect did it have on y'all? I mean, a fairly
licentiousness.
Good effect.
Totally. We went crazy, man. Everybody goes crazy. You get in a rock and roll band and you go crazy.
You know, they expect young people who have that happen. Jesus, really. One night in 1966, Jim Morrison took the whole outlaw poet thing a little too far on this stage. He ad-libbed a new line for the Doors song, The End.
As soon as he said mother, I knew where he was going. I said, no, he's going to do Oedipus Rex. He's going to say, mother, I want to F-word you right on stage. And he did, and the place just went into pandemonium and went totally insane. And we got fired that night.
Jim Morrison, Ray Manzarek, and the rest of the Doors were only a part of Sunset's psychedelic carnival.
The Strip was packed with people, hippies everywhere.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a violent revolution, it was a revolution of the heart.
Of course.
And we thought, we're going to change the world.
A lot of those dreams died with the dreamers. But almost 40 years later, the great street still has the surreal feel of an over-the-top Emerald City. On weekend nights, it is a crush of rockers, freaks, runaways, and wannabes.
There's no place like Hollywood.
No place like Hollywood.
See, this is like a private club. I already tried to get in there. It was off camera. They didn't let me in. It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign for my career.
There's so many people coming in at one time to go to the nightclubs that a lot of times it's just gridlock. Sometimes it might take you 45 minutes to get from one end of the Strip to the other, and that doesn't do much for your cruising. If you're looking for any other type of excitement, this really isn't the place to come to anymore. The Sunset Strip's become respectable, heaven forbid.
The Strip may be more seductive in the dark. Hey, who isn't? But some of the most famous landmarks still look best stretched out in the sun. The grandest of these is the 75-year-old Chateau Marmont Hotel. It started as a hideaway for famous recluses like Howard Hughes and Greta Garbo. By the 80s, the chateau was down at the heel and infamous as the place where John Belushi OD'd in 1983. But in the 1990s, the Chateau Marmont was restored and got back its reputation as a place to be seen on the Strip. Now here's something you don't see every day in LA. These people are actually walking. The part of the Strip known as Sunset Plaza is just about the only place any reasonable person would be caught dead going from place to place on foot. A lot of restaurants and shops here. Actually, I'm not much for shopping. You probably guessed that since I've been wearing the same crappy shirt for the entire show. The only stores I truly love are bookstores, and the Strip has two really good ones. Book Soup has become famous as an antidote to the .com book buying experience. If you want to take a closer look at the great street's architectural past, there's a book that will amaze you. Ed Ruscha is a world-famous artist and a documentary photographer who has captured Sunset's relentlessly changing urban landscape with his camera. His book, Every Building on Sunset Boulevard, has an entire section devoted solely to the Strip.
And this book covers the 2.5 miles of the Sunset Strip.
Man, look at how much space there was that's gone, you know?
Oh, yeah. But a lot of this, it's amazing how much of this still does exist.
Zeros.
Yeah, see, it's still there. The logo is still there right here.
Fantastic.
It's the word sunset that attracts me, and the street just comes with it. The fact that it's Sunset Boulevard has some powerful meaning to me. I'm sort of less interested in when I drive by a building and say, well, there's where Dino's used to be. I'm less interested in that than I am, believe it or not, these curbs and these median strips and lampposts, and it's more like, I look at it like maybe an archaeologist would look at it rather than a sociologist.
This little alleyway leads to another bookstore, one of LA's most expensive. It's called Mystery Pier, and just getting to the place is a little mysterious.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome
How
to
are
Mystery
you?
Beer Books.
Great pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I'm Harvey. It's my partner Louis.
Do people have to know the place is here to find it? It's
Sometimes.
yeah.
And there's a certain mystique about coming back through this
Yeah.
passageway, you know.
It's great.
And coming in. We love it.
Louis and Harvey are a father and son partnership who sell more than just mysteries in their comfortable little store. Their real specialty is rare and collectible books, First edition, signed copies, stuff that can sell for up to $20,000.
Yeah.
Why do you think that the fact that a writer has signed something, or they know that the writer has touched it, has such tremendous meaning for people that the price escalates enormously when that's the case?
Well, it could be a book they read as a child that they liked.
Yeah.
Personal, subjective, sentimental value. On the other hand, there's the proximity to greatness. The New York Times did a reader's poll and found that this is the greatest reader city in the country.
For what kind of stuff?
Across the board. Across the board.
Well, here's another signed original for their collection. Quite a markup on this one. This is worth $1.14. High culture is not exactly common on this great street. It's more about hype and shameless self-promotion. And nothing says, "I've arrived," more than looming over the traffic 50 times bigger than life.
The billboards are popular on Sunset Boulevard for the simple reason that lots of the stars live around here. And when they drive their cars, as they're driving by, they like to see their faces plastered everywhere.
For musicians, nothing beats seeing yourself on the Strip's most famous record store, Tower Records. Mainly established artists, but I'm looking nice there. I see Cher, I've heard of her. Rage Against the Machine, I've heard of them.
Whoever puts that album, I guess.
Back, that's a new young guy.
If they're going to do it on top of the roof, it usually has to be pretty big.
Oh,
it's like Austin Powers was the last one.
It's got to be somebody who's a big deal. And this is going up there. Oh yeah, Will.
They're there. Can't get any bigger than Will Smith.
No, you can't.
You ready? He's going to help us.
Come over or around?
We're on top.
Wow, this is really a new development in technology. Yeah. The old rope tow. Oh, Will, I wish I had as much money as you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do it, Randy.
Okay, let's put this Will Smith sign up higher. Have any of the artists ever come and looked at their sign?
I'm sure that they do, yeah. It's probably a big ego trip.
You ever seen any of them?
No, not really. I met Johnny Cash down here once, though.
It's only a little ride past the billboards at Tower Records before sunset changes again. The loud, flashy, fun-loving strip suddenly becomes an elegant, wide, well-fed boulevard. Here, nightclubs give way to multi-million-dollar mansions. For the next 2.5 miles, Sunset weaves through two of the wealthiest communities in the world, Beverly Hills and Bel Air. You'd never find a street like this in North Korea, for instance. In fact, if communism makes a comeback, this will be the place they'll come, and it won't be pretty. Actually, the only truly capitalist enterprise on Sunset in Beverly Hills, if you don't count the guys who sell star maps, is this monument to the good life, the Beverly Hills Hotel. This is one of the most luxurious hotels in the world. It sprawls over 12 acres of lush gardens, and a night in one of the 200 rooms here will set you back at least $300. When it was originally built in 1912, the pink and green palace must have looked pretty strange, a shimmering Taj Mahal towering over the surrounding bean fields. When the movie business took off in the 20s, the hotel became kind of a clubhouse for the Hollywood elite. During the early days, silent movie giants like Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, and Cecil B. DeMille would hop on their horses and head down the bridle path that used to run down the center of Sunset Boulevard. After a day of rich person stuff, like polo, they would go to the hotel and hoist a few at what would become one of the world's most celebrated watering holes.
Polo Lounge is one of the absolutely most charming places in Los Angeles, and I think in America. It's really, really wonderful. That's where the deal gets made that says that Joe Schlepkus, former nobody, all of a sudden becomes somebody because he has a TV show or he has a movie contract. It has become a bit degraded and is full of agents now. Although it's still got charming, charming waitresses and waiters, and I go there a lot.